where they washed the burnt offering. And in the porch of the gate were 2 tables on this side and 2 tables on that side, to slay thereon the burnt offerings, the sin offerings, and the trespass offerings. And at the side without, as one goeth up to the entry of the north gate, were 2 tables. And on the other side, which was at the porch of the gate, were 2 tables. 4 tables were on this side, and 4 tables on that side, by the side of the gate. 8 tables whereupon they slew their sacrifices, and the 4 tables were of hewn stone for burnt offerings, of 1.5 cubits long, and 1.5 cubits broad, and 1 cubit high, whereupon also they laid the instrument wherewith they slew the burnt offerings and the sacrifice. And within were hooks and hand broad. Within were hooks and hand broad fastened round about, and upon the tables was the flesh of the offering. And without the inner gate were the chambers of the singers and the inner court, which was at the side of the north gate, and their prospect was towards the south. One at the side of the east gate, having the prospect towards the north. And he said unto me, this chamber, whose prospect is toward the south, is for the priests, the keepers of the charge of the house. And the chamber, whose prospect is toward the north, is for the priests, and the keepers of the charge of the altar. These are the sons of Zadok among the sons of Levi, which come near to Yahweh to minister unto him. I read somewhere where the other priest did all the killing.
So this is in the future?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
The new temple.
Yep, this temple has yet to be built.
Where does it say that in there? Because I don't see that. I'm standing up.
Question, what was the question?
She said she wants to know about the temple being built.
No,
Where it
I
says it
want-
was built,
With
going
the
to be
new
built.
one.
That would be,
Where would it be built?
where did it start?
Don't win. What year?
37.
What year?
39 is where the is Armageddon.
Well, chapter 40 says in the 25th year of our captivity, in the beginning of the year, the 10th day of the month, and the 14th year after that was, the city was struck down. And that self-same day, the hand of Yah was upon me and brought me there. And in the visions of Elohim, he brought me into the land of Israel and set me upon a very high mountain, by which was what looked like the frame of a city on the south. And he brought me there. And I saw there was a man whose appearance was like the appearance of brass, with a line of flax in his hand, and a measuring reed. And he stood in the gate. And the man said to me, Son of man, look with your eyes and hear with your ears, and set your heart upon all that I shall show you, for to the intent that I might show unto you are you brought here. Declare all that you see to the house of Israel. So this is the reason why he's here. So that vision that he began, and that's when he began to get that vision. And see a wall on the outside of the house round about. In the man's hand was a measuring reed of 6 cubits by the cubit and a handbreadth measurement. So he measured the width of the building, 1 reed, and the height of the building, 1 reed. And he came to the gate which looked toward the east, and went up the stairs of that gate, and measured the threshold of the gate, which was 1 reed broad or wide. The other threshold of the gate, which was 1 reed broad. And every little chamber was 1 reed long and 1 reed wide, and between the little chambers were 5 cubits. And the threshold of the gate by the porch of the gate within was 1 reed. So he's measuring this city, or this part of the city that the vision is showing him. He measured also the porch of the gate within 1 reed. Then he measured the porch of the gate 8 cubits, and the posts of that gate 2 cubits. The porch of the gate was inward. And the little chambers of the gate eastward were 3 on this side, 3 on that side. They 3 were all of one measure, and the posts had one measure on this side and on that side. He measured the width of the entry of the gate, 10 cubits. The length of the gate, 13 cubits. The space also before the little chambers was 1 cubit on this side, and the space was 1 cubit on that side. And the little chambers were 6 cubits on this side and 6 on that. He measured then the gate from the roof of one little chamber to the roof of another, and the width was 25 cubits, door against door. He also made posts 60 cubits, even to the post of the court round about the gate. So this is all describing this whole entryway and into the place that he's talking about.
Is this talking about the new temple?
Well, and then he brought, this is outside the temple, and in verse chapter 41, he says, he then brought me to the temple.
So does this relate?
Chapter 42, then he brought me out into the outer court. Afterward, verse chapter 43, he brought me to the gate that looked toward the east. Then he brought me back, chapter 44, the way of the gate of the outward sanctuary, which looks toward the east, and it was shut. Then going on to what, 45? It doesn't go any further there as far as that goes. And then 46.
Is this a prophecy?
Yes.
Yes, it's,
This is a prophecy
the measurements of
the
city
city
to come.
and the gate and the temple and the sanctuary, all the places that pertain to it. This is yet to be done. This was given to Ezekiel way back when the whole of Israel was in captivity.
Right, during the 70 years of captivity.
Why don't you read chapter 42? We got time.
Okay.
This is a very interesting chapter.
Chapter 42,
Yeah.
page
Page 867.
6, 7. Well, then he brought me out to the outer court, the way toward the north. And he brought me into the chamber that was over against the separate place, and which was in front of the building towards the north. Before the length of 100 cubits was the north door, and the width of that door was 50 cubits. Over against the 20 cubits, which were for the inner court, and over against the pavement, which was for the outer court, was gallery against gallery in 3 stories, it says here. And before the chambers was a walk of 10 cubits wide inward, a way of 1 cubit, and their doors were toward the north. Now the upper chambers were shorter, for the galleries were higher than these, than the lower, and higher than the middlemost of the building. For they were in 3 stories, but had not pillars like the pillars of the courts. Therefore the buildings were straightened, or more than the lowest and the middlemost from the ground. And the wall that was outside over against the chambers, towards the outer court on the fore part of the chambers, the length of that was 50 cubits. The length of the chambers that were in the outer court was 50 cubits, and look, before the temple were 100 cubits. And from under these chambers was the entry on the east side, as one goes into them from the outer court. The chambers were in the thickness of the wall of the court toward the east, over against the separate place, and over against the building. And the way before them, the pathway, was like the appearance of the chambers which were toward the north, as long as they were, and as broad as they were, and all their goings out were both according to their fashions and according to their doors. And according to the doors of the chambers that were toward the south was a door in the head of the way, even the way directly before the wall towards the east, as one enters into them. And then he said to me, the north chambers and the south chambers, which are before the separate place, they are holy chambers. They are where the priests that approach to Yahweh shall eat the most holy things. There shall they lay the most holy things, and the meal offering, and the sin offering, and the trespass offering, for the place is holy. When the priests enter into that place, then they shall not go out of the holy place into the outer court, but here shall they lay their garments in which they ministered, for they are holy, and then they shall put on other garments, and shall approach to those things which are for the people. Now when he had made an end of measuring the inner house, he brought me forth towards the gate, whose prospect is toward the east, and measured it round about. He measured the east side with the measuring reed, and it was 500 reeds, with the measuring reed round about. He measured the north side, 500 reeds, and the measuring reed round about. He measured the south side, 500 reeds, with the measuring reed. He turned around to the west side and measured 500 reeds with the measuring reed, and he measured it by the four sides, and it had a wall round about, 500 reeds long, 500 broad, to make a separation between the sanctuary and the profane place.
All right, now read in chapter 45. I think everybody will find this interesting.
45, okay.
Chapter 45, starting verse 21.
Okay,
I think everybody will find this interesting.
verse 21, page 871. In the first month, the 14th day of the month, you shall have the Passover, a feast of 7 days. Unleavened bread shall be eaten. And upon that day shall the prince prepare for himself and for all the people of the land a bullock for a sin offering. And 7 days of the feast he shall prepare a burnt offering to Yahweh. 7 bullocks and 7 rams without blemish daily the 7 days, and a kid of the goats daily for a sin offering. And he shall prepare a meat offering of an ephah for a bullock, and an ephah for a ram, and a hin of oil for an ephah. In the 7th month, in the 15th day of the month, shall he do likewise in the feast of the 7 days, according to the sin offering, according to the burnt offering, and according to the meat offering, and according to the oil.
You all notice that there's no Passover lamb there, don't you? Why?
Joshua was the lamb.
This Passover's fulfilled.
All over.
Yep.
They killed the Passover lamb until his time.
Right. Well, I said, he was the lamb.
He was the lamb.
And upon his return to rule for 1,000 years, then that lamb will be with us on the earth.
Don't you see what else is missing there?
Atonement.
The Day of Atonement.
No, atonement, yeah, is missing there. But what's missing in Passover?
No, it says you'll eat unleavened bread.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just see it right here.
The bread's there.
But no wine?
No wine.
Yeah, I don't know if that's.
7 days, it said 7 days you'll eat the unleavened bread.
Well, that's all you do in the Feast of Unleavened anyway. There ain't no wine in unleavened, the Feast of Unleavened.
Passover.
But there's a Passover this month.
Yeah, but Passover and unleavened are two different feasts.
My point is that there's no
There's no
No
Passover.
wine.
wine
Anywhere.
at any time.
Yeah, so that, and there's no Passover.
Well, here, it's interesting.
It says it
If-
is a Passover.
If we go back,
But it's not kept anywhere near the way we kept it or the way it was kept.
go back up to verse 18. Thus said the sovereign Yahweh, in the first month, first day of the month, you'll take a young bullock without blemish and cleanse the sanctuary. And the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering and put it upon the post of the
Yeah,
house,
21 says it
upon the
is
four
Passover.
corners of the settle of the altar, and upon the post of the gate of the inner court. And
Yeah.
so you shall do the 7th day of the month for everyone who errs, and for he who is simple. So shall you reconcile the house.
Yeah, now.
Then it
21
talks about the Passover.
Passover, right.
I think it's significant that there's no wine.
I don't think the full, I think it's a kind of like a gloss over. It's not the full detail of what's gonna take place there.
Well,
It's talking about the
yeah,
slaughter.
the bullock.
It's the offerings that are there, no.
But when Moses gave them Passover, did he tell them to drink the wine there?